pictures or something like that to give a different look without spending much money. And on this wall, we've used a tropical theme. We used flowers. If you love flowers, you can go ahead with this design. All you need to do is just use some flowers here and a flower in that corner, and you can always place an armchair in front, and your wall is done.
Now that was some paint job, wasn't it? In fact, if you're interested in a paint job for your house, then I suggest that you be very diligent in selecting the right shade for your house, because the light shades normally go with anything. But in case you want to get a little experimental and use darker and bolder shades, then let me tell you that the darker and bolder shades make your rooms look a little tight. On that note, I've come to the end of this episode of Design Matters. If you have any suggestions or comments, please feel free to write in to us at designmatters@realestatetv.in. Until next time, this is Shaunak Singh. Bye-bye.
Watching Real Estate TV. FNM, Tuesday, 8:30 p.m. on Real Estate TV.
Good morning. The weekend has just begun. Yes, it's 8 o'clock this Saturday morning, and you've tuned into Realty Check with me, Achla Dwarkanath. We have in this edition some exclusive reports, so let's take a quick look at the top stories for this hour. We tell you about the impact of malls on real estate and the society. Successful trials at the Bangalore International Airport Limited. We tell you about the controversy that is still continuing over Begumpet Airport in Andhra Pradesh. Well, taking up our first report for this hour, amidst controversies and public interest litigations, the new international airport at Bangalore finally opened up its gates for the first trial flights yesterday. Nearly 400 people were present at this venue to witness the trial runs. Our correspondent Garima was there as well. She has this report for us.
Bangalore International Airport is all set to open its airfield on the 30th of March. The trial run was inaugurated by a Kingfisher airliner that landed from Mumbai at 9:50 a.m. on 7th March, 10 minutes ahead of its scheduled arrival. It was followed by the arrival of an Air Deccan flight that flew in from HAL Airport. Besides these commercial flights, the IAL also welcomed aircraft of Indian Air Force. The media was on board the two commercial airliners to assess the operational readiness of the Devanahalli Airport. The Kingfisher flight was used to test the international arrival terminal, while Air Deccan assisted in testing the remote parking bay for domestic flights. After the smooth landings, Mr. Albert Brunner, CEO BIAL, expressed his satisfaction in completing the Bangalore International Airport within 30 months.
One more insight, getting the airport ready within the time frame that we committed to.
Mr. Brunner informed Real Estate Television that operations were moving ahead on the connectivity front.
The highway is completed, the access road within the boundary is completed, the trumpet flyover will be completed, so the connectivity has very much improved in the past few months, and government of Karnataka is desperately working on improving it also within the city.
He was critical of the demand for retaining the HAL airport.
It was always clear, whether the ministry has made it clear a couple of days ago in the press, we have a contract with them and they insist on closure of the old airport. That is not questioned anymore at all.
Mr. Brunner also expressed hope that the Trumpet flyover project would be completed in time.
The Trumpet flyover consists of 4 loops and 3 of them will be completed by the end of this month. And the first one, the one going from the airport to Vanahana to the north, may take 2-3 months more.
The new airport boasts of a handling capacity of 11 million passengers. With the successful completion of public trial runs, the Bangalore International Airport is all set to take off. While facilities are in place, connectivity is in question. In Bangalore, with camera person Pipi Raja, this is Karima for Real Estate Television.
Moving on to our next report now, India's share is in the grip of mall trend. On one hand, the malls are springing up across the country, and on the other, analysts predict that the mall culture to defunct in the next few years. Shubha Narayanan struck a conversation with Mr. Neeraj Duggal to sketch the true picture. Take a look.
Hi there, welcome to Reality Check. Today on our show, we're going to be talking about malls, their development, their implications on real estate and the society as a whole. We're talking about mall development in Bangalore city. We have with us in our studio Mr. Neeraj Duggal, the Vice President for Retail Development, Prestige Group. Welcome to our show, Neeraj. How are you doing today?
Good, thank you. And how are you?
I'm doing good, thanks. Neeraj was involved with the development of Forum Mall, which has been a trendsetter mall started in the year 2004 right here in Bangalore. Now he is involved with the development of a luxury destination called The Collection at UB City, and it's located on Vittal Malla Road in Bangalore. So Neeraj, to build a mega mall, that too in the heart of the city, you'll need a lot of land. But land is available only in the outskirts in plenty. Now if you were to build a mall in the outskirts, you might not attract a huge crowd. In the city center, land is still a scarcity. How do you address these real estate challenges while constructing a mall?
Getting the land in the CBD is a challenge, mainly because the parcel of land of the size to build a mall of a critical mass is rare. And secondly, even if you can get the land of that size, the titles and the records are difficult to reconcile. Second challenge is, even if you get the land of that size, the value of the land is very high. So that will be reflecting at the rentals, which is will be again a challenge for the retailers to pay that kind. But then rentals are often a function of the occupancy cost, which is a percentage of sale. So if a retailer or a tenant can afford or can ensure that kind of sales, the rentals can be affordable. To answer your question, yes, getting a mega mall in the city is difficult, but then malls are not only limited to the city center. Malls are going to become a suburban affair. The malls are going to morph into community centers with catering to local communities and catchments. So while there will be a requirement of mega malls which will be addressed for with the rare parcel of lands and the cost, but malls will be done all over the city.
All right, now will malls accelerate the rise of realty prices in its vicinity? Do you think it's going to become more and more difficult for people to either buy land or a house or apartment closer to the mall?
Malls are certainly going to become a community focus point of that particular locality or a community. But and there is going to be a growth or mushrooming of commercial activity around it, and accordingly the prices will certainly go up. But then these are all function of in the end the sales, the consumerism, the ability for people to buy, which will be justified, which will level it out.
All right. Now, is there a certain percentage, when constructing malls, is there a certain percentage that is allocated to retail space and a certain percentage for entertainment and food, etc.? Is there any strict guideline, or is it just purely business driven?
No, there are certain norms for all successful ventures, Indian or international. There are a certain ratio of different segments of activities happening in the mall. At Forum, when we started the Forum, we had planned for 38% retail, 31% cinema, 10% entertainment, 16% F&B, and 5% services, which is acceptable norms, but it's not etched in stone. It can be revised or refined as to be relevant for a catchment. It can be changed when suiting a particular format, but overall it has to have a right experience mix.
Right. Now, what about parking spaces? Now, any well-defined mall has lots of parking space, and that is one good way to attract business, isn't it? Now, I'm just curious, is there a certain formula? How do you decide what the size of the parking area should be?
Yes, there is, again, there are certain set norms. Again, I would like to give an example. At the time when we were planning Forum, we had kept one parking slot for 350 square feet of leasable space. If we were to make another mall today and in city center, we would revise that ratio in favor of parking. Also, now the norms are getting more defined. The authorities are coming up with certain regulations. For example, there are states in India where they are saying that 50% of the leasable space should be kept for parking. Then there are cinemas. There are laws which are saying that 3 seats to a parking slot. Then there are different formats. So while when you plan, you have to keep different formats. You have to keep the location, as you said, CBD has to require, and then how you plan the mall.
Okay.
And the space and so on. But it is very important, and it is a differentiator for the success of the mall.
All right. On that note, let's slip into a quick break. When we return, we'll talk to Mr. Neeraj about the implications of malls on the society. Stay with us.
Tuesday, 8:30 p.m. Only on Real Estate TV.
What is this?
Okay, just fix it.
No, you don't need to put it back.
Records it and then you play according to it. Okay. Now see, this is the wire. Don't go close to that.
If you would call from outside and clean a person like anyone, then you would give them 250 rupees, then 200
That's right.
rupees. It
Because
would
they
cost
work.
500 rupees.
Because they clean the house.
See, now you said that they have work, that time only I also work. Thank you.
Fix Fix it yourself. Sunday, 11:30 a.m. Only on Real Estate TV.
Welcome back. We're talking to Neeraj on mall development. Now we're talking about implications of malls on the society. Now the first thing that comes to my mind is safety. Now in Garuda Mall last year, a child died in a mishap. Sorry to quote this, but you are involved with the development of several malls. What kind of measures do you take to make sure the place is safe and secure?
Safety and security of the customers obviously it's very important, especially in a public place like a mall, whether it is cinemas, malls, or any other such place. At the time of designing, there are enough safety norms which are very clearly defined in the books. Whether it is the height of the railing, whether it's a width of a fire escape, the number of fire escapes and exits, setbacks, all are well defined, and we do not compromise on that.
What about natural calamities like earthquakes and fire accidents? Do you think the malls today are well equipped to handle this?
No, while as I said, designing further, it's a fire detection system, fire prevention system, or fire extinguishing system, escapes. It's a nightmare to think if a situation like that develops. But then we pride ourselves in preparing for it. There is a special emergency response team. Each employee is given an incentive to join that. They are trained into those different kind of emergencies, escapes, evacuations, and the regular drills. In fact, about 6 or 9 months back, we had a major evacuation drill at Forum where Home Guard, police, fire department all participated.
Now, what about the impact of malls on these small stores? Like in the case of a mall, you have all the stores under one roof. It's your one-stop shop, isn't it? Now, do you think these malls will put the local mom-and-pop stores out of business?
India has got the highest density of small stores. That is 97% of our retail is unorganized. Only 3% or 4% or thereabout is, and there are 12 million small stores. So the growth in retail has to happen in organized retail. When it happens there, it may not necessarily be at the cost of the small store, but it will be, the growth is happening because the consumer, the economy is demanding that growth. I must also say there are about 100 million people in the age group of 17 to 21 years. They are the young generation who wants to actually experience, who wants to actually shop, not for planned shopping, but for impulse shopping. They want to partake life. They want to, they are exposed. They have seen what is available, and they demand. Now, when a consumer or a society is demanding those brands, those experiences, I think it has to be delivered.
That's right. I was going to come to that question next. You just mentioned that a lot of people end up spending a lot of time in the mall, and now today's youngsters, when they come to the mall, they find everything under one roof: entertainment, food, shopping. It's a unique experience. Now, I know retail businesses would love that, and mall developers would love that. But what are we, from a lifestyle perspective, what do you think will happen? Now, are we preventing today's youngsters from being productive? Are we making them spend a lot of money and time in the mall?
I think besides offering retail and entertainment experience, malls are also substituting for a social infrastructure. The retail, the consumerism is actually fueling the growth. So if you are expecting the economy to grow and continue to grow, the retail is growing. So when retail grows, you need to have a retail infrastructure. and the malls are retail infrastructure. So that's one part of it. Second part of it is that see the precedents in front of us. The West, which is probably mall culture developed 50 years back. In Southeast Asia, maybe 10, 15 years back. China recently. They are growing fast, and I think a typical example is Southeast Asia, where malls are becoming social and community centers. There are malls in Southeast Asia where there is a Sunday mass that takes place. So people are continue to grow, and I think as long as there is economic growth, retail is going to grow, and malls are there to stay.
One last question. What is the unique characteristic of a mall? Now, you just mentioned that mall is widely prevalent in some of the major cities in India and even in places like the United States and Southeast Asia and all that. Now, where is this industry headed?
To take an example, if retail has to grow at about 7 to 8%, and if current retail space is about 40 million, which is available in 2007, 40 million square feet that was available, and organized retail, which is what malls are all about, is 3 to 4%, which is pegged at about 3 to 4, which is pegged at about $9 billion US dollars, which is going to grow to about 15 to 20 billion. Going by that computation, we would need about 240 million square feet of space in next 5 to 7 years. And we are today at about 40 to 50 to 60 in that bracket. So we need about 8 to 10 times of space available. So retail growth, mall development, and malls per se, they are about 600 to 1,000. We can keep giving the numbers, but in that range, these are the kind of malls that are required. To give you another example, in Bangalore city itself, in last 2 or 3 years, the growth in retail has been 30 to 40% per year. Amazing growth.
Right.
There was only about 2 million square feet of organized retail infrastructure available. There's about 5 to 7 million expected in the next year or two. But to bridge that gap, you can see the growth of high streets across Indiranagar or Jayanagar and so on other places. Because the vacancy levels, the need for real quality infrastructure is in a short supply.
Thanks for being with us on our show, Neeraj, today, and many thanks for sharing all that information on mall development with us and our viewers.
Thank you, my pleasure.
And good luck with all your future projects.
Thank you.
Consumerism is on an upswing in India, all thanks to the rapid growth in the Indian economy. As far as we can see, this is still on an upward curve, and the mall culture is here to stay for the next many years to come.
Well, that was Shubha Narayanan there talking to Mr. Neeraj Duggal about the mall culture that's happening in India and Bangalore in particular. Let's take a quick break now. When we come back, we'll profile the Begumpet airport in Andhra Pradesh, which has invited yet another controversy.
This is the place where we have come to investigate. It looks wonderful, isn't it? I don't know how it will turn out. And I'm going to put my first step into the inquiry of para-reality. The steps are built in a mysterious way, very steep. The sound of the footstep itself is frightening.
Ventura Realty. Coming up next. Only on Real Estate TV.
Are you poised and confident? Quick-witted? Articulate? Do you have a good command over English? Can you relate with real estate and infrastructure? If so, come for an audition or send in your CV to Real Estate TV, Alliance Broadcasting Private Limited, Prestige.com, 2nd floor Jupiter Block, Marketing Sarjapur Ring Road, Kadapisnahalli, Bangalore 560087. You could also mail your resume and photographs to recruiter@realestatetv.in.
Welcome back. This is Realty Check. We'll now tell you about the controversy over the closure of Begumpet Airport. Well, this has yet again come up to the fore with the parliamentary panel headed by the senior CPM leader Sitaram advising the union government to reconsider its closure. Our Hyderabad correspondent M.A. Shankar has this report for us.
With hardly a week to go before the final inauguration of the new international airport at Shamshabad, a parliamentary committee has strongly recommended not to close commercial operations at Begumpet Airport. This triggers confusion and also gives some fodder to those opposing the closure. But the GMR group dismisses it as non-issue. In an official press release issued today, GMR says, I quote, the subject of closure of the existing airport at Hyderabad is a non-issue because the decision was well considered by the Government of India way back in 1999-2000 with cabinet approval. The Rajiv Gandhi International Airport has been developed based on the terms and conditions of the concession agreement entered with the Ministry of Civil Aviation, Government of India in December 2004. The project is well on schedule and fully geared to be commercially operational on March 16, 2008, unquote. Meanwhile, the Andhra Pradesh High Court directed the centre to explain why it should not admit a writ petition that was filed against the government's decision to close the Begumpet Airport in Hyderabad. The directions were given by a division bench comprising Chief Justice Anil R. Davi and Justice T.C.H. Surya Rao. However, the bench declined to grant any interim relief in this matter to the petitioner. The petition was filed by a former IAS officer, B.R. Venkat Paparao. This is M.S. Shankar reporting from Hyderabad for Real Estate TV along with cameraman A. Prabhakar Rao.
Well, in our international news segment, let's take a quick look at what's happening in Australia. Australia's newly built houses witnessed an increase in sales this January. This increase was because of the country's economic expansion and its lowest unemployment rate since 3 decades. Media sources have reported that the sales of newly built houses increased by 11.3% from December last year. The sale of the detached houses increased by 13.3%, but the sales of apartments here dropped by 2.9%. Industrial reports say that the sales of houses in Queensland and Western Australia increased in January. However, the results from New South Wales and Victoria were disappointing for the realty market. Another important reason for this growth is because of the increase in the benchmark rates of the Reserve Bank. In the very first week of March, Reserve Bank raised its benchmark rate by a quarter point to 7.25%. Well, this followed a similar increase in February, November and August, which boosted the rate by 1% point in 7 months' time. But the policymakers of the Reserve Bank of Australia increased the borrowing costs to a 12-year high, which predicts a slowing of the sales growth in the months to come. Well, it's time for our Property Watch segment now. For those of you who are planning to buy or rent out commercial property in Pune and Kolkata, check this out.